I'm back. I wonder if there's much of a delay. Oh, also my shoulder. My shoulder's totally busted. Yeah, I still gotta work. I gotta work on it a little bit, but there's. I look good, and my grill is totally not looking like I'm totally braces. So, not the ad. No. Oh, it's 200 football ads. Anyways. Welcome to Kerbal Space Academy. We are going to be doing interplanetary transfers to Jool tonight. If you're new to Kerbal Space Academy and you've never been here before, it looks like there's a lot of regulars in the channel tonight. But if you're watching me here live and you're new to Kerbal Space Academy, the entire point is I try to teach you something, and you are here in real time so you can ask me questions. So what I want to start with is I don't bite. I want you to answer, I want you to ask, I want you to answer questions too, but I want you to ask questions in the chat. If you see me doing something that you don't understand, if I jumped over something, if I didn't explain it very well, because I do that sometimes, and I do talk very fast, feel free to ask it in chat. There's a couple things you can do to get my attention. You can put the word question in the chat. What that does is it'll highlight it in red and it makes it glare on my screen over there so I can see that somebody's asking me a question. Just say like question, colon, and say, you know, where the heck is Jool? Space. All right. Or you can say DOS. So if you say, hey, DOS, it'll highlight it in red, and I'll look over at the chat. So if you have a question, you want to get my attention, I do have a lot of things going on. I am flying rockets. I am building ships and that sort of stuff. I'm looking at numbers, but I do try to look at those things that are highlighted in red. Every now and then I get a chance where I can breathe and I can go and get back, scroll back the chat a little bit. But Kerbal Space Academy, the entire point is ask me questions. I want to teach you stuff. I want to give you information that you can use. There you go. That's how it works. Yeah, I got some stars and sparkles. The entire point is that I am here live. Unlike YouTube, I am streaming this. I'm going to be going through a tutorial on how to do something. Tonight it's interplanetary transfers. You're here live, real-time, synchronous communication. You can ask me stuff. You can't do that on YouTube, and that's the entire point here. We're going to take about 2 hours, just a little bit less than 2 hours. I have a hard stop tonight, so I will be taking off right at 10 o'clock. But let's see if we can't get to Jool in that time. So, without further ado, I've got Jool on the screen here. I don't even know if you can see my hand. But let's get on out to Jool and see if we can't figure out what we need to do to get there, build a ship that allows us to accomplish whatever it is we need to do, and then actually take that ship to Jool. You may ask, as we're going through building this ship, I'm trying to learn to focus on the topic, right? So the topic here is interplanetary transfers. We want to get out to Jool, build a ship that can do it and actually do it. So I'm not going to try and spend a lot of time on building a complicated lander or a bunch of complicated probes or farm a lot of science or anything like that. These missions, when you do them for yourself, they're totally up to you. There'll be some important concepts that you need to get off the top of your head, such as what your payload is and what your delta V is and that sort of stuff. So adding science, building probes, building landers, that sort of stuff, I'll leave it up to you, and I do sessions on building all those other things if you want to watch those sessions. But for this, I'm going to focus on building the ship, calculating the transfer, and actually executing it. So when you do it yourself, you can totally add landers, add things with parachutes, add science containers, add satellites you're going to put up. Maybe you're trying to put a remote tech satellite network up and you need a ship to transfer it out to Jool. Whatever it is, you can add a lot of that mission stuff to it yourself. So, let's get started. I am going to start. This is Jool. Welcome to Jool. Jool has lots of moons. Jool is actually a really cool place to visit because it's got so many different moons in its system. We've got Lathe, we've got Val, we've got Tylo, we've got Bop, and we've got Pol. Looks like a grain of pollen. Lathe is especially cool because it's the only other planet in the Kerbal system that has oxygen. That means you can run jet engines and your Kerbals can walk around in their skivvies. So a lot of people like to go to the Jool system. There are a couple things that are complex about going to the Jool system. It's way out there. I think we've done a Kerbal Space Academy before going to Duna. This is Duna. This right here is Kerbin. Note the distance between Kerbin and Duna. Not so far. It's not very far. Note the distance between Jool and Kerbin. That's a little bit further. So, we are going to get out there and we are going to start looking at what we need to do. There's a couple different things that we need to do in order to figure out how to get to Jool, right? And it's not too terribly difficult. The number one thing where we start the mission is figure out how much delta V we need in order to get to Jool and home again. And in order to do that, we use a nifty thing called Alex Moon's transfer window calculator. which I have apparently not brought up. And I hope this works. There's the launch window planner. There is my window. And what I do here, I'm going to go ahead and bring this up on the screen so that you can see it. I don't want you to be too disappointed. I want to be able to build a ship that gets to Jool, and I'm going to start this by looking at a web page that has a calculator on it. The reason I'm doing this is because the calculator looks really intimidating. It's got a lot of different features on it, a lot of different things that it looks like it's asking you to fill out and that sort of stuff. However, look at that. It worked like a charm. All right. However, the calculator, even though it has a lot of different stuff on the screen, it's not best of Foghorn Leghorn. That's awesome. So, wow, okay, should have thought that through. Even though the launch window planner looks complicated, it's not really that complicated, right? So let me just go over a couple things here. You can see my mouse on the screen, I hope. Yes, you can. What I did, can somebody throw a link of it over there in the chat, maybe? Let's see here. If somebody could do this Alex Moon link, GitHub, IO. Oh, actually, I could do it. I got the chat right here. There we go. If you want to follow along and play with the calculator, there's a link in chat. You can just click on that. It'll bring it straight up over here. Otherwise, you could just totally Google Alex Moon, this guy's name right here, KSP, or Alex Moon launch window, or something like that, and this is the first result. It's a really popular thing. People come here all the time. So, let's look at a couple different things here on the launch window planner. The first thing is the date format. It defaults to this Kerbal time. Leave it like that, because most likely your date is Kerbal time. Origin, Kerbal, that's where we're going to be starting. That's just leave it on Kerbal, no big deal. Initial orbit, 100 kilometers. Leave it like that. That means basically that we've got to get. I totally need to put my camera on this screen, by the way. I apologize for that, but I'll get that set up another time. Initial orbit, 100 kilometers. That means that when our ship is in orbit around Kerbal, we want a mostly flat and mostly 100 kilometer circular orbit. So just leave it this way. It's easy. Destination. Tonight we're going to Jool. So let's go ahead and click on Jool. Easy peasy. Final orbit, 100 kilometers. We can just leave it on that. You don't have to worry about all this stuff. All this add, body, edit, orbit, there's a lot of really complex stuff that it can do. If you have a really wacky orbit, or you're trying to do a very precise burn, you can use that. For Interplanetary Transfers 101, you don't have to. I mean, what did I do? The only thing I've changed on this screen so far is this drop down from Duna to Jool, right? We don't have to worry about all this other stuff. This is important. Earliest departure, year, day. So you may have been in your own Kerbal Space program playing for some amount of time on your career, on your game, or whatever, and time goes by, right? This is very important to set. So what you need to do here is look in your own Kerbal Space program, like so, and back, your own Kerbal Space program, and look on up here. You can. I'm in the tracking station. This is on a lot of the different screens, but if you want a place to go to the tracking station. You can see right here, year 1, day 1, 0 hours, 12 minutes, 5 seconds. That is basically me starting a new sandbox mode from scratch. So I've just started. It's day 1, 0 hours. Why is this important, right? This is important because the launch windows open and close. The time that you can actually launch to do an interplanetary transfer, which I'll illustrate on the map, only works at certain times, right? The day that it is in your current save is very important for the calculator to know. The calculator needs to know where you are in your save so that it doesn't try to schedule a launch window that you've already passed. So I'll get into that when we come back over here. Let's go back to the planner because we just need to look at a couple numbers before we start building the rocket. Where is it? There's OBS. There's my browser window, and then there's my... All right, excellent. So because I just started the save new, I can do year 1, day 1. If yours is year 4, day 265 or something like that, you would type in year 4, day 265, whatever it says on your save that you're going to be doing this transfer in. It's really important, or it can be very confusing. Transfer type ballistic. For this, we're just going to leave it like this. There are some more complicated ways to do it. Mid-course plane changes may actually make some sense. If I have time, I'll go through what a mid-course plane change is. And optimal, don't worry about those. Just leave it on ballistic. Again, I'm not telling you the most efficient way to do it. I'm telling you the easy way for you to remember it. The point of this is Interplanetary Transfers 101. This is not me trying to show off how crazy an interplanetary transfer I can go, slingshotting around 10 things. This is making it as simple as possible so you can do this in your own KSP. So let me just review. Kerbin time. Kerbin. Left it this way. Changed this from Duna to Jool. Left this 100 kilometers. I'm not going to worry about this for now. Year 1, day 1, type ballistic. If you needed to change that year and day, do it. That's all we need to do. I don't need to worry about advanced settings. I'm just going to click plot it. And what happens here is it actually does some math, and it comes up with what's called a pork chop plot. It will actually tell you here where you can go to Jool. Now what does this look like, right? This is telling me, it's highlighted the best optimal transfer for me here, and it's telling me, wow, 4987 meters per second. So to get out to Jool, it's going to take me 49, it's basically 5,000 meters per second. That's a lot of meters per second, right? It also tells me a couple other things. It tells me that the departure for this mission is year 2, day 250, and the arrival would get to Jool at year 6, day 88. That's a very long time. That's 3 years, 263 days. Jeez. And to get out there, we're going to need 1992, and to do our capture burn, wow, that's where all that's coming from. Look at that. 29.95. It's like it's trying to sell us a used car. But look at this plot. See, as I move around on the plot, the numbers change. It basically tells you what the delta V budget is. The lower, the cooler numbers, like this, turn out to be lower delta Vs, and the higher numbers turn out to be higher delta Vs. So basically, here's what this tells me. If I leave at the optimal time, that's what it's got selected here. Leave on day 2, or year 2, day 250. You're going to spend about this much to do your ejection. You're going to have this as your phase angle. I'll get into what that is on the map. If I wanted to leave, say, like over here on year 2, day 175, and arrive in 3 years and 54 days, that would cost me 733. I could even come over here. Look at this. This is a lot sooner. What was our number over here? It was like 5,000. Yeah, it was right at 5,000. I can come over here and look. And highlight over here in this blue. Wow. So instead of 5,000, if I wanted to leave earlier, I could click over here and it would tell me, hey, if you leave on year 1, day 162, you can fly for 2 years, 259 days, and spend, where was it? 2409 delta V instead of, what was it, like 1900 or something, 2000 delta V basically. So for 400 more delta V, we can leave 2 years earlier. That seems like a pretty good deal. But the point I'm trying to make here is you can scroll around this plot and you can come up with different times that you want to leave and different trip times. The higher I go on the graph, the longer the trip is. See time of flight here on the left axis. Departure days, days from epoch. Epoch is the beginning of the game, basically year 1, day 1. That's how many days from the beginning of the game it is. If I wanted to leave all the way out here and get there in 1 year, 135 days, I could spend 12,700 delta V to get there. So that's how the transfer calculator works. Being able to use Alex Moon's awesome transfer calculator. Here's what I'm going to do. That's a lot of delta V. Let's do one thing that we can do at Jool in order to figure out how much delta V we need to do, or to see if we can actually decrease that amount of delta V. If we scroll back up the calculator here, there's this option that I skipped over, this no insertion burn. You may have heard of something like an aero braking or aero capture maneuver, right? That's when you've got a craft that comes down to the atmosphere of a planet and uses the friction against the atmosphere to slow down. Remember, when we had our, let's use something like over here, like say we're going to spend 52. There, that's good right there. Our ejection delta V was 2275. Why is the total 5,000 something then? Because in order to get captured around Jool, we'd need to spend 3,000 to slow down so Jool could capture us. We can save a whole heck of a lot of delta V if we didn't have to spend this. How do we do that? Instead of using our rocket engines to slow down so that Jool can catch us, why don't we just go crashing through Jool's atmosphere and use Jool's atmosphere to slow us down? Let's see what that is. So our optimal thing here, what was that? Year 1, day 179, costing us 5,200. Let's plot it with this no insertion burn using the atmosphere to slow down and see what we get. Look at that. Instead of, let's go back over here like year 1, day 174. That's pretty close. Instead of that, we still have about the same ejection delta V, but check that insertion delta V. We've removed almost 3,000 delta V from our ship requirements to get out to Jool simply because we said we were going to use Jool's atmosphere to slow us down instead of using our engine to slow us down. So this rocket right here, let's see here, this rocket that needs 2347 to go out to Jool is a lot easier rocket to build than the rocket that required 5,000 to get there. Because remember, 5,000 to get there also is 5,000 to get home. Let's do this as well. Let's hop back over to KSP. That's how the calculator is. If you've got any questions on how the calculator, go ahead and type them over in the chat. Like I said, I'm just trying to make it as simple as possible. I probably shouldn't have started with a web page. I probably should have started with something a little bit more graphic. So, like I said, I'm learning. I do these live. This is Kerbal Space Academy where the script is made up, but the rocket science is real. And maybe next time I'll start with I definitely need to at least get my face on there. Let's hop back to KSP and look at a different thing that we can do. KSP2. Excellent. There I am again. Oh, so pretty. So here we go back to KSP. I just looked at the transfer calculator for Alex Moon, right? There's another way that I can calculate how much delta V I'm going to need to get out to Jool. Let's hop over to the VAB here, and I'm going to look at something in the an image that I have saved in the VAB. There's that. Here's this. The scene's loading. That means I get a Dr. Pepper break. Excellent. Did they release that mod? White Bundies, did they release that mod? If you can link that mod, definitely go. White Chevys, I'll be playing some Best of Froghorn Leghorn later. If you can link that, feel free to link it, White Chevy, or who was it? White Bundies, definitely link that because I was following that for a while. There's another way we can figure out, maybe let's call it a little bit simpler way. In fact, this is probably what I should have led with. There's a little bit simpler way to figure out how much delta V we need to get to Jool. I'm going to go ahead and I've got this nifty image viewer thing here. And what is this going to tell me? Yes, there we go. I've got the subway map. It's basically the KSP subway map. If you want to get this link here, a copy of this image, you can bring it up in your web browser. If you search for KSP space subway map, anybody want to link it over in the chat, go for it. You can search for KSP space subway map, and this will bring up, somebody will get you a link there in the map or in the chat pretty shortly. This is another way that shows us how long, or basically how much delta V we need in order to get to places. So basically you start at Kerbin down here, that's where the launch pad is. We all know that it takes us about 4,500 meters per second of delta V to get us to low Kerbin orbit. Let's not worry about that for now. We know what it takes to get into orbit. It's going to take us about 950 delta V to go from low Kerbal orbit out of Kerbin's sphere of influence. So that basically means initially we're going to be orbiting around Kerbin, and we need 950 delta V to get out of Kerbin's sphere of influence to go ahead and launch away from it so that we can clear it and go somewhere else. From there, it takes us about another 965 delta V to get out to the Jool intercept, right? And I'm just adding these things up. And then from there, if we want to come close to Jool and then actually go into low Jool orbit, which is 150 kilometers, you could do 2630 delta V. That's where that arrow break, or that's where that large amount of capture delta V, the insertion delta V, came in on the calculator. It was like, man, you're going to need 3,000 delta V to slow down enough for Jool to catch you. That's what this number is right here. So this, we can see our two numbers here as well. We had 950 plus 965. That's like 1,800 or so. I imagine we could find on the calculator someplace where you could transfer for around 1,800. Then adding this 2,650, that's where we got, that's almost 5,000. So that's where we got almost that 5,000 from. That's actually almost 4,000, a little bit over 4,000, 4,500. So a simpler way to do it, if you want to look at building the ship, you just come over here, you get this KSP Delta V subway map, you say, geez, let's assume I'm in low Kerbin orbit right here, and I want to go to Jool. That's 950 plus 965. At least. That'll get me close to Jool. I could do a Jool flyby, kind of a Voyager style. Voyager didn't go into orbit around any of the big planets. When it was out there doing the tour, it's still out there. When it was doing the part of a tour where it flew by the planets, it actually just did a flyby. It didn't go into orbit because it would have been so much delta V for Voyager to get captured and start orbiting around those planets. So same sort of thing here. If you just wanted to do a probe on a flyby, 950 plus 965, call it 2,000, call it 2,500. I always build, since we're trying to learn things here, I always build a lot of extra into my rockets. You can do the same thing with Duna. You could say, all right, I'm in low Kerbal orbit, and I want to go to Duna. That's 950 to escape plus 110. There's bound to be a place where you can intercept Duna in 41 days. I haven't seen that one. But you could go to Moho. You could say 950 plus 730. That's basically just a guideline for where to start. Don't build a ship that has exactly that much delta V and expect to get anywhere. Don't build a ship that has exactly that much delta V and expect to get home, because this is the one-way trip cost, 950 plus 965. One more important thing here, I talked a little bit about aero capture. Remember, we have this big delta V requirement that's basically going to slow us down enough for Jool to catch us. Jool's a big planet, but to get out there we got to go super fast, and in order to slow down enough for Jool to grab a hold of us so that we don't leave, we've got to spend all this delta V. We're going to be trying an aero capture, which basically means we're going to go down into Jool's atmosphere and use the friction against the atmosphere to slow us down. That means we get to carry a whole heck of a lot less fuel. We don't have to have all this 2630. We're going to need some to circularize, clean up our orbit, that sort of stuff. We're definitely going to take it easy when we try to do this. We're not going to go so deep into Jool's atmosphere that we're going to totally crash, because you can go too deep and actually kill your orbit and crash into the planet instead of just slowing down enough to be caught. So what we're going to do now, we're going to start with the premise that for 950 plus 965, that's just under 2,000. Let's build a ship that has about 3,000 delta V one way, so 6,000 delta V two ways, and see if we can't get to Jool and back with a ship that has at least 6,000 delta V. I think we're going to have more. Let's see here. So we've done that. I should have started with that, not going to lie. I should have started with the easy map and then gone on to the calculator. Are there any questions about what I've talked about so far? I'm going to check the chat. I'm going to drink a little bit of sip of Dr. Pepper here right quick, and see if there's anything going on over here. There's some links. Override, thanks for posting those links, by the way. And Mark, wow, everybody posting links. I really appreciate it. Guys, I just got started with the whole streaming thing, but I really appreciate it when people help me out and post links in chat and answer questions and that sort of stuff. I'm going to come up with some sort of rep system or something where you can earn points and get entered into contests or something. I don't know, something like that. But I totally appreciate, even if it's just my thanks, I really appreciate people helping out. There's that. Checking the chat. Welcome, White Chevy. You might notice that I'm looking a different way tonight. I moved my other monitor over that way. Cheat sheet. That's that. Oh, the cheat sheet's a good link, by the way, Nubius. Thanks for posting that up. This is, what is this? Kerbal Delta V map. Excellent. There's that again. Excellent. Somebody got ninja'd, apparently. You know, you could totally print it off, put it on the wall. It's not too big of a deal. Print it off on a nice color printer and put it in the wall. Transfer window planner by TriggerTech White Bunnies. I am going to check that out. I'm not going to bring it up right now, but I will check that out because that would be fantastic if I could put it right there in the game. That's so cool. Awesome information. Mars. That's the entire point. What's the delta V of a can of Dr. Pepper? I could actually calculate that. There is some amount of delta V in the Dr. Pepper because when you open it, it goes, right? So it's got some sort of thrust. It's pushing mass out the side. I have a feeling that the delta V of a can of Dr. Pepper is very low because it's got a lot of mass and there's not a whole lot of thrust coming out of there whenever you pop the top of it. Ask a silly question. Okay, Master Aardvarks, when I get to building this rocket, I will explain what delta V is. Basically, delta V is how far you can go in space. And that's a little bit of a wrong term. It's not how far you can go, it's how much you can change your velocity. It's basically how much you can change your orbital parameters in space. The more delta V you have, the more you can go into higher orbits, go into lower orbits, speed up, slow down, change your inclination, tilt your orbit around the planet, increase your orbit so much that you actually leave the orbit, you leave the sphere of influence from the planet. Delta V stands for change in velocity. Delta is change, V is velocity, and it's basically how much you can change your situation in space. It's the most important thing when designing a rocket. If you don't have delta V, you can't go anywhere. So let's get to building this rocket. We said that we needed at least 6,000 delta V. I'm going to build a rocket that has a lot more than that. How am I doing on time? 8:30. Excellent. Let's start off. We all know rocket building 101. There's that cupola. I'm going to go ahead and start with the cupola. I like it. If you're just getting started, you can copy this craft. Some people actually bring up KSP in another window and they copy it as I go along. You're welcome to do that, and I love to hear success stories of people who have actually done things. Thank you, Peter P. I love to hear success stories of people who have kind of followed along with the Kerbal Space Academy and accomplished something new that they haven't been able to do before. That freaking like fills me up when people do that. So you are welcome to do it. Post it up in chat. I think it's freaking cool. It is not a distraction to me at all. So I'm going to start with the cupola. The cupola is a great pod because it's very pretty. It's got all this glass. It gives your Kerbal a really nice view of the planet. However, it weighs a lot. 4.5 to carry one Kerbal. That's not too great. But since we're going to Jool, Jool's a big place, got lots of pretty moons. I'm going to put this on here. I know I can build a craft that has Buku Delta V, even though we've got that heavy thing. If you're having trouble building a craft, or maybe you haven't unlocked this yet, if you're in career mode, you can always choose the other modules. You could even send an unmanned ship. You don't have to send Kerbals out there. You could use one of the probe cores and send an unmanned ship out to Jool. It's up to you. We've got a place for the Kerbals to sit. Let's put a place for the Kerbals to live. That would be a hitchhiker. Where is the hitchhiker? There is the hitchhiker. And let's also, I'm going to put one of these on here too. I'm going to put a lander can just because I can. Look at that, a lander can. That thing, we have many viewing ports for our Kerbals' enjoyment. This is just a place for Kerbals to live while they go. You can roleplay it as much as you want. You can say, geez, 2 Kerbals going out there, they're going to need room for snacks or whatever, so I have to put a lander can on, or I have to put a hitchhiker. That's up to you. Use whatever pods you want. The important thing is you have a way to control your craft. You could use this probe core if you wanted, and that would be just fine. So we've got that. The next thing that we need for our interplanetary ship is fuel. And since we're going interplanetary, we need lots of it. Let us look at a tank like this. I like that tank. People have been here before. I kind of do some Star Trek looking designs with engine nacelles. I think maybe I'll do one of those tonight. I don't know. I'm going to toss some fuel in there. I am also going to need some engines. Engine selection is very important for your Delta V. So what engines should we use? We have lots of different options. Actually, let's, before I talk about the engines, grab old Kerbal Engineer. If you don't use Kerbal Engineer, get off my channel. Go away. You're not going to ever learn anything. I'm totally kidding. Kerbal Engineer is a freaking great mod. It's the first thing listed. If you scroll down and look at my channel, the channel description, you can see a link directly to Kerbal Engineer there. There's a couple different versions. If you have never used it before, I recommend you go with 1.0. I've actually got 0.6 on here, as you'll see up here, because it would take me some shenanigans to get it moved. But if you're new to Kerbal Engineer, grab 1.0, put it in there. I use it every single Kerbal Space Academy session. You'll see it. It calculates Delta V for us. It calculates thrust away for us. It's totally freaking cool. Yeah, Leg, get the heck out of here. There are other mods that do the same thing. There's one called Void. There's one called MechJeb. I don't know if you ever heard of MechJeb. But I grabbed the little Kerbal Engineer thing. I slapped it on there. Newer version, you don't have to do that. Important thing is I get this little window where Kerbal Engineer is going to tell us some science. Let's play with some engines here, right? We've got some fuel. We said we needed at least 6,000 Delta V. Let's see how we can do that. Everybody loves a mainsail. Let's slap it on there. That says 2,000 Delta V. That's not very much. Let's make sure. If you just saw there, what I did was I clicked on this compact button. By default, Kerbal Engineer comes up, at least 0.6 does. Kerbal Engineer comes up in this small window. I want to click compact because this atmospheric stat window here is very important. I'm going to turn it off. When we do interplanetary transfers, we're in space. We're not on the ground of Kerbal atmosphere or some other planet. So by having that off, you can see how that changes the Delta V. For the mainsail, it's not that big of a deal. It's a lot more obvious if you use a nuke. There you go. In atmosphere, nuke, totally inefficient. If I look at the nuke, I can see that it's got a 220 ASL. That's basically how efficient it is. Higher number means the engine's more efficient. Lower number means it's less efficient. In atmosphere, ASL, it gets 220 efficiency. That's freaking terrible. That's one of the worst atmospheric engines in the game. However, in vacuum, the nuclear engine here gets 800. That's one of the best ones in the game, apart from the ion engine. So this is very important. I went ahead and changed it, and here's what you can see. In Atmo, because it's got this terrible, terrible, terrible efficiency in atmosphere, we're only going to get 1649 Delta V using this nuke on this thing. However, if I turn off Atmo and Kerbal Engineer, we get freaking 6,000 Delta V right there. And that is because of that difference in efficiency. In atmosphere, it was terrible. In vacuum, the nuke is totally great. In fact, this ship right there, we could get it to Duna and back. If we flew well and we timed our transfers, we didn't play around a lot. This ship right here, remember I said, what was it? It was like 1,800 Delta V, and then I bumped it up to 25 to 3,000 per trip, so 3,000 out and 3,000 back. This ship would be able to get to Jool. We are going to build it. We're going to actually way overbuild it because we want to have a lot of extra Delta V. You should overbuild it. If you're learning, you don't want to get all the way out there and spend a bunch of time and then run out of fuel just because you cut your margins too close. Excellent. Thank you. Oh, also, welcome Declarations. Thanks for hanging out, man. Yeah, I totally got another green screen thingy. Let me drink some Dr. Pepper right quick. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to get caught up on chat for a second. I want to see if there's any questions that came up. I saw a couple red flashes over there. If you have any questions on Delta V or engine selection, I'll go through a couple more engines here in a second. I mean, all you have to do, and I find this very, very useful, when I'm building the craft, I've got engineer up. I drag a couple engines over. I don't know. How would the 45 do? Man, 3,000 Delta V. How would the, here's a skipper. How would that do? All right, 2673. You can totally, just by slapping different engines on there, play with it as long as you've got engineer, and engineer will tell you how much Delta V you're going to get from each setup. So let me get caught up with chat for a second and see what I missed. Apparently there's tons of chat and 39 people here. That's so freaking awesome. Let's see. Wow. The drop-down menus weren't showing. The drop-down menus weren't showing on the thingy? Thanks for telling me that, Starry Skygazer. I will need to look into that. And hopefully if I can get the thing running in the game, I won't have to worry about that. That was like a special OBS capture of the window over there. Hey, if you're new, I could do another announcement right quick. Welcome to Kerbal Space Academy. We're doing interplanetary transfers tonight. The entire point of Kerbal Space Academy is that I teach. That's such a silly word. I go over, I stream, I broadcast, I play a freaking game focused on a single topic here in Kerbal Space Program. It's live and it's interactive. So if you have any questions, type them in the chat. I want to answer the questions. I want you to be able to do interplanetary transfers yourself. That's the entire freaking point of me doing this. And I totally need to use a different word than teach. Nobody wants to come and learn. Calculator mod, white Chevy, ahoy, ahoy, da 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 da. All right, there's those links. Good, good, good. Getting caught up with chat. There's the Dr. Pepper comment. Somebody give me a part that's a can of Dr. Pepper and we'll fly a can of Dr. Pepper somewhere. Can anybody reskin an engine or something? Because that would be awesome. Spaceman Spiff, dude, don't let the interplanetary transfer calculator blow your mind. I'm going to bring it back up. It's super simple. You just type, I think you only type like 2 things in and you get like 2 numbers off of it and you're good to go. Performance issues, fuel, backdrop, yes, excellent. DK showed up, excellent. I tried to copy. Hey, check it out. Oh, I will. This is a good thing. I will leave the craft on the screen while I'm running my mouth so that if you want to build the same sort of craft, you can totally do it. That's an excellent point. I need to get into the mode of doing that cheese Danish. So here, it's on the screen if you want to copy it. Dude, Zogs, you went to the moon? Freaking awesome. That's freaking amazing. I wish, gosh, I need like a place where people can post up like screenshots. We need like a forum or something. Or we'll just use something on the KSP forum or something. I don't know. Oh, jeez. Do it. Do Star Trek. All right, Mars. I'll go with the Star Trek stuff. Reminded me. There's the Redux. Excellent. Thanks for the link there. What's up, Sarian? Did I say your name right? I don't know. I said Dune and then said Jool. I don't know. I must have screwed something up. 9/11. Welcome back, dude. You're totally a regular. What is my occupation? I run my mouth a lot. T. McNasty there. My occupation is running my mouth a lot. Actually, I also do after-school science programs for kids. So today I was actually launching a real... Oh, I should have brought my rocket in. Dang it. I have an actual little Estes model rocket, and that's what I was doing today, this afternoon. Best freaking job ever. So cool. All right. Whoa, wait. KSP tweet of the Mega Maid? Blue Zero? They tweeted the Mega Maid? No freaking way. That must be why that must be why Rowdowser asked me for a link to the highlight. I sent him a link to the highlight, and that's freaking awesome. Dude. Retired Army. Wait, who did I miss there? Did I miss a retired Army? That's cool. Retired Army, welcome, and thank you for your service, man. Yeah, wow, everybody. Yeah, definitely. Everybody in chat should thank retired Army or anybody that's in the military. Nothing but respect for anybody that would do that for the country. Or just the rest of us. I don't, delaying the country, whatever you want to call it. I totally appreciate anyone who would do that. That's awesome. There's a link to the Kerbal Space Program stuff. Oh my gosh. The Schwartz is with Das Valdez. Here's this KSP rendition of the iconic Spaceballs Mega Maid. Oh, that's so freaking cool. 108. 108 freaking retweets. Favorited 105 times. Oh my gosh, that's so freaking cool. Thanks for that link there, Sarion. So, I don't think I saw any questions on this, so let's get on with the ship. Again, if you're new here, welcome to Kerbal Space Academy. We're doing a session on how to go interplanetary. We're going to be taking a ship on out to Jool, and I don't know, let's get to it. So, we've got our Kerbal engineer here. I'm going to go back to compact mode. Again, so freaking important to make sure when designing the interplanetary ship that atmospheric stats is not highlighted. Look at the difference between it, right? That's atmo, that's not atmo. That's atmo, that's not atmo. Make sure it is not highlighted, just like that. That is what we want to calculate our flying through space-itude. So, I promised I would do this sort of Star Trek sort of deal. Here's another thing about engines, right? I put this nuke on here, right? Wow, man, freaking 6,000 delta V, that's amazing. It is amazing. That's a lot of delta V. But check out this TWR. TWR stands for thrust to weight. That is the ratio of thrust, how hard your rocket can push, versus the weight of the rocket, which is how heavy the rocket is. The higher the thrust to weight, like 5, 6, 7, 8, like anything above 1, that's a better thrust to weight. That means you have a lot more oomph for every pound, every kilogram that you're carrying. A low thrust to weight is very lousy. That's not good. What does that mean in real life? Or what does that mean in Kerbal Space Program's real life, right? If I have a very low thrust to weight, that means that even though I have a whole lot of delta V, it's going to take me a long time to spin that delta V. The analogy is like you've got this huge bucket of water. It's like a freaking 55-gallon drum, right? And I've got 55 gallons of water, and I poke a little pinhole in the bottom of it. And yes, I can get rid of that 55 gallons of water, but it's going to be one drop at a time. It's going to take it forever to come out. Versus freaking punching a huge Dr. Pepper can-sized hole in the bottom of the 55-gallon drum. The water would come out a lot more quickly. Not exactly the same, but it's just how quickly you can use that delta V. That thrust to weight at 2.0, that's freaking terrible. That means that when we do burns out to Jool and we have transfers and stuff like that, we are going to be burning for freaking ever in order to spin to that 6,000 delta V. How can we fix it? We can totally fix it. You can see that there are different engines that have different thrusts. Again, let me hop back to my nuke over here and show why this 0.2 thrust to weight is so freaking terrible. Looking at the nuke puts out 60 units of max thrust. Now, I don't know how new you are to KSP, but let's look at the S3KS25X4 engine cluster, which puts out 3,200 units of thrust compared to 60 units of thrust. That's a big difference. Let's see how it affects it. This big guy, I'm totally going to slap it on there. Everybody loves a mainsail, but I don't know. This guy's got 4 freaking nozzles. Let's take that off. Let's put this huge engine on here. So there, I only get 2,000 delta V because this guy only does 360 in vacuum in terms of the efficiency when that nuke was getting 800. But with that 3,200 units of thrust, we have a thrust to weight of 8.71. It even tells us here, does it tell me? Yes. It even tells me, in order to spend all of this 2,000 delta V we have, it would only take us 17.7 seconds. That's not a long time. That would be like a very short burn. But because we have all that thrust, and the burn is going to be very short, we're not particularly efficient. Let's look at some other engines. Skipper, how are you? There's the Skipper. The Skipper would give us 2673. It's a little bit more efficient than the big 4X cluster with 650 units of thrust. You can also see it right there in the engineer. This Skipper would take 1 minute and 29 seconds to burn through this tank. Okay, that's not bad. I've seen engines with longer burn times than that. Let's try that nuke. Remember, this is the pinhole in the bottom of the 55-gallon drum. Yes, we get 6,000 delta V, but it's going to take us 35 freaking minutes to do that burn to spin 6,000 delta V. That's a problem. So choosing your engine is always going to be a part of a balance between getting lots of delta V and not having burns that take you 15 freaking years to accomplish, right? Let us look at some other stuff. So what can we do, you know? If we don't want to build a ship that uses, like, let's grab a poodle, maybe. Let's look at a poodle. Where you at, poodle? There you at, poodle. There we go. So this poodle, actually not a bad middle ground. It gives us 3,000 delta V. Not great, but it's one of the higher ones that we get from here. But it's only going to burn for 4 minutes and 38 seconds versus, where'd you go, nuke? There you go, nuke. 34 minutes, 35 minutes. So what does that mean? The nuke put out 60, I think we were aware, and the poodle put out 220. How can we get more thrust out of the nuke? We can use more nukes. Now, what does that mean? A nuke weighs a lot. I'm not going to worry about it too much for this, but I can take, instead of just one nuke, let's do it this way. Where is my thingy? There is my thingy. Look at that. That's four attachment points. So like that. Times 4. Now we've got 4 nukes. That means we've got 6 times 4, so 240 thrust. More thrust than the other thing, than the poodle, but we get 4461 delta V. So this, using these 4, we use some more delta V because we've got to carry the weight of the engines, but we can spin it a lot faster. Instead of 35 minutes, it's only going to take us 8 minutes and 43 seconds if we have 4 engines. I like that. I like that. That's actually not bad. Maybe what we need to do is put 4 nukes on here. I don't know. And some more fuel, maybe. Let's do that. This part, let me tell you about this part. This part is cool when you're early on and you need to use more engines. Say you're in career mode, you haven't unlocked a lot of stuff. You need to use more engines. This is great for the bottom stages. Here's the problem. I can't put anything under it. Yes, all 4 of those engines have nodes. No, I cannot build a rocket on one of those like this and expect this thing to do any good at all. That is a very bad balanced rocket. Balanced. I don't even think I should do it the justice of using the term balance in the same sentence as designing that rocket, describing that rocket. So, this quad stack adapter, not great. That's why a lot of the times my designs end up looking like this. I am going to grab a little bit of a Strutty McStrutterson offset here. Let's pretend we don't want our Kerbals to get irradiated too terribly. I think it's under here, maybe? No. It's under here. There it is, the small hard point. I'm just going to grab this guy. You can do this any way you want. You don't have to copy me exactly. This is just my style. So I put 4 small hard points on there. I need a way to attach the engine, so I'm going to grab me a little fuel tanky thingy here. Okay, let's do that. Alright, that's not too bad. Whoa, wait a second, what happened? 1500 delta V. That's terrible. What happened? We need fuel lines. The way this works, this fuel tank in here is just being carried. It's not actually going to use the fuel from this tank. We need to go and grab a little yellow fuel line and put it like that. And like that. Right there. Now look at that. We're back up to 6,000 delta V. So this is pretty darn snazzy. We've got our engines pointing off the back. We have them stood off so that they're not going to, I guess, irradiate the fuel too much. Maybe transfer heat. Maybe they're not going to transfer heat. KSP doesn't model any of that. It doesn't model the radiation. It doesn't model the heat. There's a mod that can model some waste heat, but stock KSP does not. We're just pretending here because we are playing a video game and we like to pretend. 5845 delta V with a 0.5 thrust to weight. That's not terrible. However, it's going to take us 13 minutes to burn through that. That's not too bad. I'm not going to worry about it too much. I'm going to show you a trick to fix that. I don't want to do an interplanetary transfer burn with only 54 or 0.54 thrust to weight. It's going to be a very inaccurate burn. If we have to exit Kerbal Sphere of Influence, basically, what was that? We could do the math right quick. It was about 2,000, I think, to get that Jool intercept, roughly roughly, somewhere around 2,000. So that is about a third. Say this is 6,000, and it's going to be 2,000 to get that Jool intercept. That means it's about a third of our delta V, right? This doesn't work exactly, but it's a rough estimation. That means maybe about a third of the time it's going to take us to do that burn. So a third of the time there would be what? 13 divided by 3, geez, that's difficult. 12 divided by 3 is 4. So just over 4 minutes. Again, that's not exactly, yes, I know the rocket equation. Yes, I know that's not how the math's going to work out. But it's going to be about roughly 4 minutes, maybe more than 4 minutes, 5 or 6 minutes to burn through 2,000 delta V. That's not too terrible, but when I do my interplanetary transfer, I want a thrust to weight of at least 1.0. Let's see what we can do here. A trick that I use a lot is this. I am going to go grab me a Clampetron Senior. You can also use one of the larger docking ports, or one of the larger decouplers that looks like this, the Rockomax Big Decoupler. I'm going to put that docking port there because that means I can always expand my ship in the future by docking something to the tail end of it. And I am then going to put one of these here. And I am going to put another fuel tank that looks... Oh, actually, maybe we could do something like this. Like that. And I am going to make me what I call an interplanetary kicker stage. That is basically... Remember, these guys had 60 each. 6 times 4 gives us 240. That thrust to weight was only 0.5. That wasn't great. I want a bigger engine. Check out the skipper here. The skipper puts out 650. That's not quite 3 times 240. But check that out. If I put a skipper back there, I have 0.98 thrust to weight. And that thing will burn through 985 meters per second in 1.29 minutes. Okay, not bad. What about this? That's a 2.18 thrust to weight. So that's 912 meters per second in 37 seconds. That low burn time and that high thrust to weight will allow us to do a lot more accurate interplanetary transfers. I wouldn't want to do my interplanetary transfer on 0.5. I certainly wouldn't want to do my interplanetary transfer on 0.2 or 0.1. That burn would take forever. Let's see. That's not bad. What I'm going to do is add fuel to the skipper or to the mainsail. We're going to use the mainsail as an interplanetary kicker stage. Who said it's only for launch? We are going to add more fuel here until it's about at 1.5. So all I'm going to do is take it off the bottom, grab me another tank like this, making it up as we go. What does that give us? Wow, 1.9? Okay. We can put even more. What is that? 1.7 in 1,500. Huh. That's actually not bad. Here's what I'm shooting for, right? We knew that it was somewhere in the realm of 2,000 meters per second of delta V to get the intercept with Jool. I want the majority of that burn to be done with this mainsail with the high thrust to weight, right? I don't want a lot of the burn. I basically don't want the mainsail to do half the burn and then the other engines to do half the burn because changing thrust to weights in the middle of the burn is kind of complicated. I think I'm going to go with this. That gives me 1587 or 1589 meters per second of delta V, 1.7 thrust to weight. That's something that I like. This is kind of ugly though. It's too tall. So I'm going to do this. This is just Rocket Design 101. If you make your rocket too tall, it can be quite difficult to launch off the launch pad. It gets all wibbly wobbly. Let me grab some easy tanks here and just put them on. I think I'd only need 2 of them, right? Like that. You can role play that those are supports or whatever. Actually, we could totally do that. Again, let's put the fuel lines in there. So I'm going to grab a fuel line. I'm just making the rocket shorter. That's all I'm doing here. In fact, I like that. Yeah. Again, I make these ships up as we go. I don't make these ships in advance. I've never made a ship that looks like this before. I'm going to toss that there. I'm going to toss that there. I'm going to get me, well, no, not like that, but does that work? Oh, that's so pretty. Look at that. What is that on the Delta V? Yep, not great because I didn't put the fuel lines. So let's put the fuel lines. Again, you can design the ship however you want to design the ship. I try to come up with a little bit different ship every time I do this. I think this is going to be too much fuel from what we had before. But let's see. What is that? 1870 Delta V, 1.5 thrust to weight. Yes, those tanks are a little bit too big. You know something? I don't care. Let's go with it. Whatever. So what have we done, right? I've made an interplanetary ship, and I've made an interplanetary kicker stage. I have a stage that has a very high thrust to weight, but it's not particularly efficient. And I've got a stage that's got a lower thrust to weight, but it's very efficient. Basically, we're going to fire this thing to get out of Kerbin's sphere of influence. Then we're going to go tool around the Jool system just using the interplanetary ship without lugging a mainsail around. And then we're going to use just the interplanetary system, the interplanetary ship, to come back home. But Das, when you come back home, my thrust to weight is going to be terrible. What's the deal with that? As we tool around the Jool system, we're going to use fuel. Say we have a lander or something here on our science, or we could call it the science vessel, on the interplanetary ship. Say we have another smaller ship that flies around to the moons and does some science or something. Say we're just using fuel to go and visit the different moons with this ship. As I use this fuel out of this tank, my thrust to weight's going to go up. So even though leaving Kerbin we're going to be at a 0.53, after we tool around Jool, that rhymes. After we tool around Jool for a while, our thrust to weight is going to go up and up and up, and we will have something like a 0.7, 0.8 thrust to weight when it's time to come home. So that's how we solve that. We don't have to carry the mainsail all the way out there, but we'll have very efficient engines to tool around Jool. I like that. We should change the channel title to that. Tooling around Jool. I'm going to do that right quick. That also gives me a chance to drink some Dr. Pepper and check the chat. Any questions? What I've got here. Dude, Bob, my name is the same as the initials for Delta V. That's pretty cool. I did not know that. Apparently the channel is also still titled Setup. I'm so bad. Tooling around Jool. Yeah, that's good. Done. Tooling around Jool. Okay, let's check this out. See if I missed anything. 9, got 50, 20. There was Army again. Thanks again, Army. Ion glider. Nubius Maximus, the ion glider, turned out deliciously. In fact, we flew it through some rings. Same as Delta V. Low thrust to weight is like a VW engine in a Mack truck. That is actually a great analogy. The VW engine would have very good gas consumption as opposed to the 4 gallons to the mile that a Mack truck would get, but it would not be pulling you up any hills. Certainly wouldn't be pulling, what is it, 60,000 pounds, 80,000 pounds? What are they rated at? Earthworm Slim with the host. Earthworm, dude, thanks a lot. Anybody over on Earthworm's channel, welcome to Kerbal Space Academy. We're doing interplanetary transfers tonight, tooling around Jool. Spelling out Delta fuel lines. Yeah, Mars, you got me on the fuel lines. Nice. Song request Nutbuster. I don't have that installed. I don't play music besides the game music during KSP. I do play music in my free play sessions, but I try to. I want everybody to hear me talking. Parachute. Parachute. Peter P., this interplanetary transfer ship will be tended by a spaceplane. So once it launches, it won't be expected to come back down into Kerbin orbit, and therefore we don't need parachutes on it. It will not be expected to return. We could totally put a some sort of lander pod or something on here, some sort of escape pod. You want to play around, you could totally do that. For the purpose of this, we're not going to do it. Green screen plus lighting. Look, amazing. Dude, Earthworm. Thank you, Walmart. $4 new lamp and tweaking the chroma key settings. Same camera. It's the same old school Logitech camera I've always had. So if there are no questions on that... yes, I should. If anybody knows anybody who does marketing at Dr. Pepper, tell them I will push their product on my channel. They can even like compensate me partially in free Dr. Pepper. So this is good. We've got a good ship here. Maybe it doesn't look like the best ship ever. Imagine, I don't know. There's some things we could do. Nope, don't play around. Just focus. Oh, but I like doing this so much. Let's make it look a little bit better. A little bit more aerodynamic from the top. I'm not sure how much more aerodynamic this is going to look. Well, let's toss it on there right quick, just because we're going to space doesn't mean that our vessels can't look fabulous. Oh, no. 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 Oh, drat. Okay, we won't do that. Now for something entirely different. And drag it down a little bit, then I'm going to redo that. I like doing that sometimes. I make some cool looking drop tanks that way. We're not going to worry about drop tanks for this. Yeah, we'll just do this. Whoop. Put some fuel tanks back. They were back to where we were. We're rocking 7667 Delta V. Let's look at this. Remember I slapped the T-can on there, the lander can, just because I slapped it on there. That thing weighs 2.66. Let's take this off of it and put it here. Let's have a look. Right now, that stage has 5807 Delta V with that 0.53 to thrust to weight, right? When I was doing this, like many new people, like I still do even, I was just slapping pods on there. I was like, yeah, man, a cupola, and then a lander can, and then like this other thing, and I'm just slapping pods on, right? Room for Kerbals to frolic. How does that affect our Delta V? That's 5807. What if we didn't have that lander can in there? Let's take it out. 5807 was the number. 6355. We gained over 2,000 Delta V's. Wow, that math doesn't work out. We gained over 500 Delta V just by not putting that lander can in there. That's actually a significant amount. What if we went with something different than the cupola? Remember how I said the cupola, 4.5, but it weighs a lot? It only carries one Kerbal? Let's toss it, and let's say we went with like just the lander can. The T-can. Let's see how much Delta V this ship had. We were sitting right at what, 5,800? Without the cupola, we gain 1,000 Delta V. So the point I'm trying to illustrate is that using the different parts or just slapping parts on there will adversely affect your Delta V. Some parts are better than others. Remember, like I said, we could get this ship out there with just a probe core. Let's look at what that looks like. What was this number? This number was 6813. Nope. Let's go away with this little teeny tiny Stayputnik. Huge interplanetary ship driven by a Stayputnik. Look at that, 7850. Using the Stayputnik instead of the manned lander can, or the cupola plus the lander can, is almost 2,000 more Delta V. That is a significant difference. That looks silly though. Let's send some Kerbals. It's just like we're gonna put you in cryo sleep there in the hitchhiker, and you are going to let the Stayputnik care for you during your voyage. Let's just use the lander can. So again, that's always something you can do. We've been talking about the Delta V on the ship. We've been talking about the thrust to weight. Taking that away is only going to increase this Delta V, and it's going to increase this thrust to weight in the Delta V. I'm going to go like this. Let's continue to play around with some stuff. What else do we need? We need some battery juice. Always good to have battery. That thing weighs 0.2. Watch that Delta V when I put it on there. Every part I add is going to affect the thrust to weight and the Delta V. There's a lot of people run into trouble because like, oh man, it's freaking Legos. I have infinite freaking Legos and I can like build a rocket ship with them. You continue stacking Legos onto it, and then all of a sudden the rocket ship has trouble getting places because it's got so many Legos dragging it down. That took me from 68 to 76. That's like what, 50 Delta V? Man, we don't need that much electric charge. Let's just toss like 2 of these puppies on here. And let's see how that does it. What do these weigh? 0.02 for 400 charge versus 0.2 for 4,000 charge. Yeah, whatever. Let's put 2 of them on. That's good. Look at that. That barely affected our Delta V. Actually, that didn't affect our Delta V. Are these guys massless? It seems to think they're massless for the purposes of calculations. All right. Using those radial attached batteries didn't affect us at all. Some parts are massless, which means that they don't account for the physics simulation, which means that they don't account for Delta V changes. All right, we got some batteries on there. What else do we need? Solar panels. Yes, yes. Excellent. Needs more control authority. Thank you, Bob. That's excellent. Welcome, Train Scraw. Ooh, green screen? What do you mean, ooh, green screen? You mean new green screen, right? We need some... Dude, I love this. People in the chat telling me what to put over here. More control authority. Bob, you are a freaking genius. Needs more control authority. What he means is it needs more rotational. Needs to be able to change its pitch, yaw, and roll. To do that, we use these advanced SAS modules. You can do it a couple different ways. I could put just one on. That's what I'm going to do. And I'm going to continue focusing on interplanetary transfers, not pitch and yaw and roll. Come back to Rocketry 101 if you want me to talk about that a lot more. Thank you. Physicsless. Physicsless, or what is it? It's like physics is... the name of the flag is physics significance or something, I think. Control authority, we got. Camera, massless. Solar panels, Mars, thank you. Totally need some solar panels. Where are we at with the solar panels? What should we put? Big ones? I don't know. What do we have on this ship that needs freaking tons of electricity? Not much, I don't think. We're not going to need tons of electricity as long as we can generate it. Should we put The Gigantors. Man, I love KSP. It's freaking Legos. Let's put 4 Gigantor solar arrays on there. Yeah. Wait a second. That goes from 6761 to 6419. To carry these things through space is going to cost me 300 delta V and 0.02. Would the ship look cool? Yes. Do we need that amount of power generation? Not really. Let's do this. Let's take it off. RTG weighs 0.08. That's not too shabby. Let's just go ahead and slap a little RTG on here. We're going to put it right up against the right up against the Kerbals here in the Hitchhiker. That's so that the radiation coming out of the RTG can keep them warm during their long space flight. KSP totally doesn't model that. I just made that up. And look, I totally put it right next to the battery so that we didn't have to spend a lot of extra money on electrical cords. It's like a nice short electrical cord there. The RTG is good, and just in case the RTGs go bad, let's put one little solar panel on there. This will be like our emergency backup panel, and I'm going to toss it, I don't know, like right sort of here deal. Like that. Let's just put one on. That'll be our emergency backup because we're playing pretend here. What else do we need? So what did I do, right? What did I just try to illustrate? Would my ship look freaking awesome if I put 15 Gigantor solar arrays on it? Yeah, it would look totally awesome. And you are welcome to fly it that way. If you're new, keep in mind that every awesome looking part you add subtracts for the delta V. So you may have a totally awesome looking ship that's not going to make it to Jool. You could also have a totally awesome ship that makes it to Jool. Just keep that in mind as you're slapping parts on the ship. What else do I need? Bob, that is an excellent point. It does add to your part count, though, which may slow down your simulations if your computer's not as strong. Yep, hi. Oh, hey, what's up, Traxxas Lover? Only the Control Authority. OP. Oops, yeah, as I move back and forth, I gotta do it. Don't need big panels. Hag learned so much. Like it. Not needed. Parachutes, Bob, you got it there. It'll look awesome. It'll totally look awesome. What else do we need? We don't need anything else, I think. Speak now or forever hold your making fun of DOS. Yeah, let's slap an antenna on there. You know, just because. Look, I like this. You don't have to copy me. In fact, I should copyright this so you can't copy me and I'll be like, this design is totally copyrighted. You're not allowed to do it. I'll toss one of these on here. Oh, how cute. Maybe a probe core. Oh, yeah, maybe we should toss a Stay Putnik on there. No, let's not toss the Stay Putnik on there. Dang it, DOS. I'm going to toss a little probe core on there. Let's grab us one of these little antennas. Check it out. I'm totally making pretend here. That's one of the cool parts I got the game. It doesn't model it. I don't care. I'm still having fun making this stuff up. Yes, that definitely looks like a place I should not be able to attach that part. Is that good? Yes. Thank you, KSP, for coming to your senses. Oh, check that out. That's like our, I don't know, our long-range antenna dish. That thing opens up, by the way. And then, I don't know, we need some sort of Doppler radar. Some sort of Doppler effect. Let's do this. Do I need any, Yes, look at this. 2x, check that out. I totally have 2 dishes with an offset between them so I can do a Doppler sort of... That's not kidding. That's not right. That's not right at all. What is that called? When you have 2 antennas and you triangulate something, basically, is it just triangulation, or is there a Doppler is the speed that you're going? This is the Doppler dish up here. We could also check the weather on Kerbal with it. That doesn't allow... Bob, we're not landing anywhere. We don't have a lander on this ship, and we don't have any little probes or anything. I'm trying to just focus on the interplanetary transfer part of it, building the interplanetary transfer ship and that sort of stuff. Your landers or something like that would be payload, and as you add things to your ship like this, you just have to, you just have to keep in mind that it adds to the mass. So say I had some sort of little moon lander sort of thing. It's going out to Paul or somewhere, and it's built around this engine, right? So it's going to have this. It's going to have a little pod or something. I would dock this on here somehow. Let's just do one. And as I add that, it's going to change my delta V. So carrying those additional, well, oops, I didn't put a thing in there, but it will change your delta V as you add payload. So that is something to think about, but I don't want to focus on that. I want to focus on calculating and performing the interplanetary transfer. Anything else? Triangulation, Doppler effect is the speed something. Yeah, Doppler is the RCS. Lilu Killick, again, This ship, I'm not going to be using RCS to go anywhere. If it had a mission package where, say there was a lander that needed to go down to the moon and then come back up and then use RCS to dock, and this ship needed to carry some replenishment supplies or something like that for the smaller lander, yes, I would put RCS on it. Last time I did this, I spent 4 hours on the Interplanetary stream, and it's because I was like, oh man, and then we'll add a satellite, and oh man, then I'm going to add this cool lander, and I spent like 2 of the hours talking about the lander and that sort of stuff. I'm just trying to focus on this, but yes, you need to add additional parts based on what your mission parameters are. Stuff to support a lander, little satellites to deploy, Kerbal things to do something. That's definitely stuff that you need to look at. Maybe ladders. I think we've got ladders on here. They'll be able to crawl up and down completely. Lights. Let's toss some lights on here, and we will put a thermometer, and then we will go build the lifter for this puppy. 9:12, 45 minutes. Okay. Need to go faster, Das. Let's see. Too much talking. There's that. Let us slap a thingy on there. Maybe a docking port. Yeah, let's slap a docking port on there, like on this side, so that we can refuel and refit her. That's good. Not too worried about it. Anything else? I just said something and then I didn't know. Yeah, lights. Let's toss some lights on so y'all can see what's going on in space, and then we were going to slap a lifter under this, and then we were going to freaking fly. So, there's that. I'm just going to slap a light like this. That gives them some working area when they're on that side. Last thing, everybody knows me and my dorsal side. Dorsal side is where the hatches are. I am going to put a little light bulb there. Ta-da. Yes. Ta-da. That is my dorsal side. Now I know which way is up on my ship. You can also look at the lander can and figure out where the your control from place and know where the hatch is. But that is the dorsal side of the ship. If you're interested in what I mean by that, if you've watched Shark Week, you know what the dorsal fin is, the one that goes up on the back. It's important when flying the rocket. For me, at least. I think it makes it a lot easier. Let's see here. Did I put power generation? Yes, I've got power generation. Really cool stuff, RCS. We need to slap a lifter under this. We need to get this thing in space, and we need to get the transfer done. So, let's see here. In order to do the lifter, I'm going to put this guy. I need a kicker stage. My kicker stage usually looks like this. I'm going to talk fast here, guys. If you need more information on designing the lifter itself, I do sessions. I do Kerbal Space Academy sessions on lifter design and getting to orbit. But I am going to toss this together very quickly. If you pay attention, you may hear me. See what I'm saying? Let's see what we can do here. That, important that we go back to atmosphere. That is 807 with a 1.8. That means I can put more fuel on it. That is going to be about 1.5, I think. Yep, 1.5 with a 114. That's a good kicker stage. This is my orbital kicker stage, orbital insertion stage that allows me to go into orbit around Kerbal. Now I need más raqueteros on the bottom, which look like this. I know I'm talking through this very quickly. I do specific sessions where I will talk for 2 hours on everything that I'm doing right here, so definitely join me for one of those if I am going a little bit too fast for you now. Let's slap some more fuel on the bottom. We like this big puppy. Oh yes, look at that, the majesty. Let's move it on up. Move it on up. Excellent. That's 1.19. We know we need 1.7 on the thrust pad, and we need this number to be about 4,000. So how can we do that? Add more fuel. Let's go with this. Let's go with this. Let's go with this. Again, I've never made this rocket before. We're just building this on the fly. You build enough rockets, you could totally do this too. There, maybe just 2. I bet you we can get away with 2. Let's see if we can get away with 2. Come on, baby. Come on, girly. There we go. Excellente. Are we done? 3825, 214, 4 on the 1.75 on the launch pad. Look at that. That is so close. I apologize if you wanted more solid boosters, but they take so long to tune. We're up. Yes, 1.5 on the launch pad. That's a little low, but that puts us right at 4054 on the kicker stage. That right there, people, is what space looks like. Let us grab this. Let us move it up. Watch it totally freaking explode because I'm all cocky like, oh, that's what space looks like. What's up now? And it's going to freaking fall over, burn, and sink into the swamp on the launch pad. All right. There we go. Excellent. Excellent. Me. Okay. Let's put this little thing on here just because. Again, I also do sessions 4044 on the pad with 1.57. It looks like a rocket. Wow, snazzy. Again, I do sessions on all of this stuff that I'm talking about. I do sessions on putting parachutes on these lifter stages so you can recover them. I do career mode things where you can actually use a mod called Deb Recovery to get your money back from these stages if you're trying to worry about money. I do sessions on designing this lifter or other lifters. I do sessions on the kicker stages. I do sessions on how to do the interplanetary. Whoa, that's the one I'm doing right now. I do sessions on how to get into orbit. There's that. We're adding some struts. Like I said, if I'm going a little fast on some of this stuff, join me for some of those other sessions. We do a different one every night. Also, follow me on Twitter. Has the bot been doing the thing with posting the links and stuff like that over there? Yes, I will. I am going to K9. Dr. Pepper. All right, I've got that. I've got some stabilities. The ability to stay. That kicker stage is 1.57. I can live with that. 4044 on the pad. Let's toss some of these red thingy-mabobbers on here. And let's see if we can't go to space today. Excellent, eh? A little high. That's okay. Let's check our staging. You're good. You're good. That's 3. You goes with you, I believe. Is this correct? You go with you. Yes. Is this correct? You go with you. Yes. Is this correct? You go with you. Yes. Look at that rocket. That is a fine-looking rocket specimen, y'all. In fact, it looks kind of like a, what is it, the Ariane or whatever? Maybe a little bit less. Bot hasn't done anything. Hey, thanks for letting me know right quick. Let me see if I can. What about? I can't just toss a couple in there and Is it going to work? All right, so if you want to catch future Kerbal Space Academies, there's the link to follow me on Twitter. I post when I go live. Also, I've got a survey just to find out who's watching this stuff and what you're interested in me streaming about. Hopefully that works. There's a link to a survey if you want to take it. It'll help me out. It helps me like decide what to run my mouth about. I definitely like for people to tell me what they want to see. Here is a rocket. There are many other rockets like it, but this one is mine. I will not go to space without my rocket. My rocket will not go to space without me. Actually, that's not true. A lot of times it does go to space without you. Sometimes it goes to space in many pieces without you. Jool tool. We're going to call this the Jool tool. Save. Launch pad. Step 1. Nice, K9. Dude, thanks for posting that in there. God, I got to get that rep system. I really appreciate people helping me out. Going to the launch pad. Drinking delicious Dr. Pepper. Well, that's excellent. Didn't fall apart on the launch pad. That's always a good sign. We're not worried about anything right now. I'm just putting the rocket into orbit. What did we want? We wanted about 100-kilometer orbit, I think, so that's what we're shooting for. Panel lock. SAS engage, which is pressing the T key. Kerbal Engineer, I love you. You're already good. Throttler up, because we were at 1.5 on the pad. Let us go to space. Press the space bar. So here we go. I'll talk through my launch profile. It's a standard launch profile. It is not the most efficient launch profile. KSP veterans know that. But it's an easy one for you to remember, especially if you're new to this whole shindig. We're going to go straight up until we get to 5,000 feet. At 5,000 feet, we're going to look at our speed. Because we built this rocket on the fly, but because we started with a 1.6 on the pad, I have a feeling my speed is going to be somewhere around 150 to 160 when we cross 5,000 feet here. That is our first checkpoint. That's halfway there. And what we're doing there, we don't want to go too fast through the atmosphere. It's a balance between going so fast that the air is pushing very hard, Dr. Pepper, on you, and going too slow that you waste a lot of time fighting gravity. I talk a lot more about those topics in my timeout. 5,000 at 153. Not too shabby. I talk a lot more about those topics in my going to orbit, kind of the first orbit or the getting to orbit for the first time sessions I do. I am blowing through them here. But again, standard launch profile, 10,000 is my next checkpoint. I want to be going about 250 to 260. So let's see here. There's 8.5. I'm not even going to look down there. I'm going to look up here. And when it gets to 7, 8, 9, 10, I'm going to look down 263. That's what we want. Then we begin a gravity turn. Check my cool key thingy. I'm pressing the D key. I'm leaning over. You want to lean over slowly but surely. Sometimes if you lean over too fast, you may lose control of your rocket. You may overshoot this. I'm leaning over till I get to where it says 90 on the nav ball. Don't be confused. That's 90 heading with a 45 ascension. So that means that I'm 45 degrees from the horizon. You can kind of see here this is a 45-degree angle. What I'm going to do is I'm going to burn at this 45-degree angle until this number right here, I love you Kerbal Engineer, download Kerbal Engineer, gets to 50. And when this gets to 50, like that, I'm going to turn and burn. I want to go down to the horizon, and I want to put as much of my delta V into orbital velocity as I can. Again, I'm just staying along this 90-degree line. Don't turn too much, DOS. Just turn and burn. There goes that stage. Thank you for your service. I will see you later, Lifter. Here's our orbital kicker stage. Let's make an orbit. Do you want to make an orbit? Could somebody should do a cover of that song? There's 84. Remember, we're shooting for 100. I'm going to pump this sucker up until it gets to 100. Again, putting a lot of that delta V into orbital velocity. A lot. There's 96, 97, 98, 99, and 100. Not too bad. Oh, I missed it. I'm like 8 off. We're coming out of the atmosphere, so that's going to end up like 9999999 something. Let's go to the map and plan our circularization node. To do that, you press the M key. You come over here. You look at the apoapse. Oh, it's such a nice apoapse. You click on it, and this comes up. Precise node. I love you, precise node, and I'm going to be talking a little bit about precise node here. Precise node. When I do my circularization burn, this is the first thing I use it for. It's got this freaking awesome button. It says Apo. That stands for apoapse. It also could stand for apogee, the highest point you are above Kerbin on your orbit. If you were going around Earth, it would be apogee, moon, apoloon. I click it. It puts my node exactly on the orbit. I can go over here and watch what happens in precise node while I work with this. I'm going to grab this. This is stock, but watch precise node. Precise node is telling me precisely, exactly how much delta V I'm putting into this. So I'm dragging that prograde. That's all I want to do. I'm looking for the periapse. There's my periapse. Click on her if she sticks. Make it 100. That's 99956. That is 10392. That's not bad. Down here in precise node, it told us that that is 904 meters per second. Here we've also got 904.4 meters per second. You can see precise node is just more precise. I got a burn I got to do. I will talk a little bit more about precise node when we set up the interplanetary transfer. Use that apoapse button. It makes your circularization burns a lot easier when you put them exactly on the apoapse. Standard circularization burn here as well. It's going to cost us 904 meters per second. We've got 1111 in the tank. That is not too shabby. Burn's going to take us 52 seconds. That means that my burn half is 25 plus 1, which is 26. Again, we always half our burns. I talk a lot more about that in my orbiting 101 class. I gotta come up with it. My orbiting 101 freaking awesome session. I don't want to use the term class. That's lame. So when this gets to 25, 26, I need to burn, which is right now because I run my mouth too much. So let's go ahead and burn. And all I'm going to do is this. Space junk. Space junk is lame. So I could actually make a kicker stage like this. That would be a freaking outstanding interplanetary kicker stage to use that. I love that freaking flame that comes out of that rocket. It's like the flame is the length of the rocket. That looks freaking cool. We're just continuing this burn. However, I don't want space junk. So I'm actually going to kill this stage when this number here reads 100. I'll tell you why. When this gets to 100, oops, stay on that blue dot. Do a nice burn. Get to 100, please. And stop. I'm going to kick that. I know I have more delta V. I'm wasting fuel here. It's okay. I don't want it to be space junk. Let's execute the rest of the burn with this little stage. It's not going to cost us too much delta V, just 100. And stop. What did I do? How's my orbit? 91 by 100. That's terrible, DOS. And you should feel terrible. There's the 100. There's the 91. Let me tune it. I'm just pointing north. That's going to go down, which means that's going to go up. 95, 96, going down, 99. We're up. That's good. That means we're at 995. That means we're at 100. We tuned it to a circular orbit. So, the next thing we need to do is figure out how to get to Jool. We've got our interplanetary ship designed. We've got it in a stable 100 millimeter orbit. It's like this tall, man. 100-kilometer orbit. Now we need to go plan that. To do that, I'm going to use that transfer calculator. Remember, we are on, where are we at? Year 1, day 1. I just clicked that to get that. Year 1, day 1. So let's hop back to the transfer calculator. 926. Hurry up, DOS. Year 1, day 1. Let's hop back to the transfer calculator, which I do like this. Browser window. Best of Froghorn Leghorn. All right, we're on year 1, day 1. We're going from Kerbal to Jool. I'm actually going to... Why is that locked? That's interesting. Kerbal to Jool. Oh, because of the final orbit thing. Because of the no insertion burn. I see. All right, I'm going to leave the no insertion burn so we can do the arrow capture. Here is year 1, day 1. That's correct. Transfer type ballistic. Good enough. There are other ways to do it. I'm keeping it the simplest way right now. Let us click plot it again. There's a couple numbers we're going to have to get off of here. We were going to leave, what is this? It wants us to leave on year 2, day 256. Yeah, that's too far in the future. That's going to cost us what? 1986. Let's use a little bit more delta V over here. Remember, I can just highlight around. Look at that. There's 2160. 2160. Do I have it on the right screen? I do. Excellent. 2170. Ah, that's good. 21, whatever. Jeez, where was it? 2165. Check that out. Instead of waiting till the 3rd year, I can click right here and leave on the 1st year, day 191. So 191 days from today. Couple interesting things we need to know. The calculator computes the phase angle for you. You don't actually need to write that down. I will go over that in a more complicated class, kind of like the advanced interplanetary transfers. For this, the phase angle is very important, but because we're using the calculator, you don't need to write it down. What you need to write down is this, 122 to prograde. Ah! I have nothing to write with. I cleaned my desk. This is why we don't clean our desk. Luckily, I'm sitting at a computer. TextPad. Yes. What did I say? 122. Was it to prograde? To prograde. You write that down. 122 to prograde. That's important. Ejection inclination, 8.99. Okay, not too bad. Let's write that down. 9, basically. Inclined. And then we go with ejection delta V, 2200-ish, 2190. 2190 ejection delta V. Now this is important, and I hope it shows up on the stream. If you click on that, gosh, I hope that shows up. It gives you this thing that says ejection burn details, right? And it splits the number into 2 different numbers, I guess. 2 different numbers. It splits your ejection delta V into 2 different numbers. One is the prograde delta V, one is the normal delta V. You can also have a radial delta V, although I don't think that it would use it because that's just a different time you need to burn. This is telling me, does it show up? Excellent, it shows up. No, I never. I just listened to that on loop constantly. This is important. Prograde 2079, basically 208. So let's write down 2080 prograde and 684, 685, call it 685 normal. So 685 normal. The last thing we need is the day that we're going to leave. All this other stuff, transfer periapsis, transfer apoapsis, we don't need to worry about this. We're really just going for the simple launch. The last thing we need is the day that we're going to leave. That's day 191. Day 191 tells us the date of departure. Write that down. You need to know day 191. Day 191. All right. So, what we need to do is, having written that stuff down, 122 to prograde, 9 degrees inclined, 2180 prograde, 2080 prograde, 685 normal. I'm just writing these things down. You'll see what they mean. Day 191. We go back to Kerbal Space Program. What's the first thing we need to do? Today is currently day 1. What day do we need to get to? 191. Let's physics warp. No, let's not physics warp. Let's time warp. However, I cannot time warp past 50x because I'm lower than 120,000 meters. Also, change the source, DOS. There you go, much better. Because I am, here, let me get the error up there again. I can't warp past more than 50x because I'm below 1,200 meters. We don't want to go to day 191 at this rate. What we need to do is hit escape, going back to the Space Center. And is that the link to the Froghorn Leghorn? I said. Alrighty. I'm gonna come over here to the tracking station. Oh, you can do it from here now. Meh. I'll do the tracking station. It's prettier to watch. I'm gonna go to the tracking station. From the tracking station, I can time warp. We can actually watch our ship go round and around Kerbin. Let's go ahead and press the arrow key and time warp. So look at that days. Wow, we're going so fast. It's still only 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. That's not very fast on the days. Let's go faster. Ludicrous speed. They've gone plaid. Look at that Kerbin spinning around. Look at me orbiting around Kerbin. Look at that. That's day 30, 40, 50, 60. We're going to go all the way up to day 191. The Jool tool. What could we have done? We could have waited until day 191 before we actually launched the Jool tool, or we could have done a couple days before to check it out, refuel, or whatever you wanted to do. I built and launched her on day 1, and then I put Bill and Bob in orbit for 191 days. We want to make sure these systems are very solid before we launch rocket. We spent 191 days in orbit making sure everything is good to go. I got to watch up here now. 85, 86, 87. Let's slow it down. Let's speed it back up and get up to day 191. Now here's the thing. The window, if you accidentally go past it and you end up at day 192, don't fret. Day 192 is not terribly different from day 191. If you stop on day 190, you could totally do the transfer on day 190. The calculator gives you the exact minute, second, and hour that you should do it. We're just getting close. We're shooting at Jool with a shotgun, and we will fine-tune the pellets on their way there. That analogy makes no sense whatsoever. Wow, that's too slow. 189, 190, and 191. There we go. That's day 191. So what do? The calculator did a couple different things for us. Let us go back to our ship, which is easy because we're in the tracking station. We can click on the ship. We can click on fly. Set my alarm. I know. I didn't set the alarm. I need to get this done. I honestly have a hard stop. I've got to finish this session by 10 o'clock. That's not the usual. That's not the usual situation. I usually go a little bit after, but I'm trying to get this transfer done so that I can answer a couple questions before I have to take off. So here we are on the Jool tool. It is day 190. Oh no, mission elapsed time. There we go. It's day 191. We need to go to Jool. What do? Go to your map view. What numbers did we write down? Where is my text pad thingy? There it is. I could totally drag that over there, and I could totally drag this window over here. So one of the numbers we wrote down was 122 to prograde. What the heck does that mean? Kerbin, of course, or engineer, I'll get back to you. Kerbin, of course, orbits Kerbal, the sun. Kerbin orbits in this direction. I know because I'm looking at the top of it. If I was underneath, well, it'd still be the same direction. It orbits to the right whenever you're looking at it like this. Kerbin orbits in this direction. So this direction, like this, basically straight ahead, that is prograde along Kerbin's orbit. That number that we wrote down, 122 to prograde, that means that we've got to eject our ship 122 degrees. God, that line gets on my nerves. There we go. Fade on back line. 122 degrees from this line. So look at it, right? This line is going straight ahead. 90 degrees would be straight up. 122 degrees would be somewhere back here, right? I wish I had like a John Madden thing I could draw in here. 45 would be up here. 90 would be up here. 140, 120, 135, whatever it is, would be back here. And this is 180. So 122 is probably around right here. That means that we need to place our node 122 degrees from this angle. Let's zoom in and see what that looks like. Now we know we're kind of lined up with the orbit. Let's go over here to our ship. We know that 90 degrees would be here, and we know that 122 degrees would be what? Like, this-ish? I don't know. What's 90, 180? That would be 90, 45. That'd be 135. So it would be right about, I'm totally guessing. And the trick is, you don't have to have it exact. I'm just going to guess right there. Then, we've got precise node up, right? What else did we write down? We wrote down 2080 delta V prograde. That's pretty easy. We just come right here to prograde and we type in 2080. That looks good. And we typed in 685 normal. So I typed 685 normal. That, wow. Look at that. Nope, that's the moon. That's not good. Uh-oh. That's no bueno at all. We're going to pass by the moon. I thought that was my Jool intercept, but it's not. All right. So anyways, we typed those numbers in. We typed in 2080 and we typed in 685. Let's see what this says. 2189. What did our calculator say the total amount of delta V was? Let's hop back to the calculator right quick. Browser window. Launch window. What was it? 2190. 2189, 2190. Pretty darn close. Using precise node, which the link is down in the channel description, did I have to play with all these different things, pulling on this and pushing on this and that sort of stuff? No. I wrote down two freaking numbers from the calculator. I typed them into precise node. I kind of guessed here. Actually, precise node will tell me my won't it? Ejection angle, ejection inclination. No, it does not right there. Where's that at? I must be missing something. Where's my ship right now? There it is. So precise node, I just typed those two numbers in. I didn't have to play around with all these little things. It makes it really easy to plan the node. We're going to continue using it though. Let's zoom out. This is going to be a bit of a problem. Where we are right now, the moon is going to be past where we're trying to go. We're actually going to go through the sphere of influence of the moon. That means the moon is going to change our trajectory a little bit. That's a problem. We're way out from the moon, so it's not going to affect us much. Let's go look at Jool and see what we got going on. Where's my orbit? Oh, because we have the encounter with the moon, it's not showing me. Aha! We're going to have to get rid of that encounter with the moon. What can we do? I'm going to right-click on this, and I'm going to give the moon time. There we go, to get the heck out of my way. All I did was right-click on the node. See, when you right-click, it changes node modes there. Uh-oh. I am totally on the wrong screen. I bet you that's why my phone rang. Eek! I've just been doing a lot of stuff and I didn't talk about it at all, didn't I? Thank you, guys. I was totally talking. I really have to have... I need another monitor so that I can see what's going on in the stream. Alright, so anyways, thank you for the phone call, by the way, for the person who had the number. Slightly embarrassing. Like I said, I do this live. I need another monitor badly. Where did I miss off? I typed the stuff in. Source, yes, everybody chill. Oh no, such a flub. I don't know where I didn't have the source. What I did was I came over here. I've got my I've got my node set up at 122 degrees from the way that Kerbal is going. Did I just totally nuke that? This is about 122. I went to my node. I created a node right there. I went into precise node, and I typed 2080 for the prograde because we wrote that down. I typed 685 for the normal because that's what we wrote down from the calculator. I really do need another monitor. I only have the one monitor. I apologize for that. KSP takes up most of this monitor, and I could not see that I had the source freaking flubbed. Wow, embarrassing. Anyways, we continue going on. Even if the rocket explodes, we still try to march forward, so having the source incorrect is maybe not the best thing. I have got the node there. I typed 2080 into prograde on the precise node. I typed 685 into normal. Remember, those are the two things we wrote down from the calculator. What did that give us? I had to miss the moon. Let me show you how I missed the moon because that's what you would have missed. So let me go back to where I was hitting the moon. There we go. So this is where we started, y'all. There we go. It looked a little bit like this, and I had this mooner encounter. Going through the mooner encounter means that I can't see the rest of my orbit, and it means that the moon is going to warp our trajectory just a little bit. I had to fix that. In order to fix that, I left-clicked on the node, and then I right-clicked. So as I right-click on the node, if I click there in the center, see how that changes modes? The node mode? That changes the node mode. This is the thing that says wait another orbit. So as I click this button, watch what happens to the moon up here. I click, and the moon goes past. And I click, and the moon goes past. And I click, and now we don't have an encounter with the moon anymore. I click again. Now we've given that node some time for the moon to go by. So what do we have here? What else can we see in precise node? I said I needed to be about 122 on the ejection angle, and I just guessed where it was, right? I zoomed out. I'm doing this again. I don't know where I screwed up at, but I'm doing it again. I zoomed out. This way is prograde along Kerbal's orbit. It orbits, if Kerbal's looking at the sun, it orbits to the right. So get behind it and look. This way is prograde. We wanted to be 122 angles from prograde. So knowing we're coming up Kerbin's tailpipe here, I guessed that since this is 90, this is about 122. That's what I guessed. Precise node tells me, well, Dos, you were close. That's actually 129. And I can fix that by grabbing the node. And watch precise node down there. I can't point at it while I do this. But I can grab the node and move it, and precise node is going to tell me when I get to 122. There's 122. I actually can't type that in because that has to do with the time. But all I did was click on the node and drag it up until I got that to 122. So the calculator told us 122, 280, 685 on day 191. Roughly. We're going to tweak this. Do we have a moon encounter? No, we do not. That is excellent. Let's go look at Jool. Yes, I actually got the 9-degree inclination. See my inclination here? The combination of this normal, remember normal is the purple triangle. When you pull it up, that increases normal. When you pull it down, that's anti-normal. That's basically reverse inclination. So by typing 685 in there, that took care of that for us. We didn't have to drag this little triangle around. We just typed in 2080. We typed in 685. Precise node took care of the rest. Precise node set us up so we had this inclination. We can see 122 right there. We can see 189.89 delta V. We can see we're going off. Are we going to hit Jool? Let's see. Well, that's not how you find out. Let's zoom out and let us go find Jool. Wow, we are not hitting Jool at all. Let's set Jool as the target and see what's going on. So we're going through Jool's orbit. We're going right through Jool's orbit. What have I done wrong? This is where it doesn't have to be an exact science. I will definitely do an advanced class on precise node because we can type in the exact second that we wanted to get that. However, in order for that to work, you have to get an exact orbit. I will do an advanced session on that. For this, we are just going to play. This is a trick. Click on the node to expand it. Press tab a few times. We're going to press tab until we get out to Jool. There's Jool. What does that do? That puts the node in the background over here, but we're looking at Jool. That's cool to look at Jool because it's going to tell us when we get that encounter. I'm going to look at a couple different things here. I've got Jool. I've got where I passed Jool. I wish there was a way for me to focus over there, but there's not. And I've got my node expanded. If I didn't expand the node, sometimes the space junk, especially if I have a lot of missions going, I probably don't have a moon encounter on this orbit. Yes. I can now play with the node because it's expanded, so let's try some stuff. Let's zoom around and see if I can't get close to here. Look at that. The purple line crosses through the green line, which looks good to me. I like that. Let us see if we can't do something to play with it. Remember these numbers, 2080 and 685. That's your starting point. If you get so far out of whack, because I know these things are a little difficult to pull and push, let's see if we can't get it to go. The important thing is you can always go back to precise node and reset it by typing those numbers in. Let's try, I think a good place to try is always, oh, look at that. What did I do? I just apparently accidentally clicked the time a little bit, and it gave me that, which is good. We're going past it too fast. We need to slow down. That usually means less prograde. Does that work? Not really. 6384. Pull it some more. 6392. Nope, that's getting worse, so let's give it some more. And look at what I'm doing here. I'm not doing anything complex. I'm just trying to bring it home. I checked it. What is that? Our closest approach is 5834. Let's do some more. Our closest approach is 506. That's good. Sometimes we could get this better just by dragging this around. However, KSP doesn't give us a very good way to do that. Precise node does. Let's change this in increments of 10 seconds. So what I'm doing now, that lost it. And apparently that brought it back. Okay. I was just clicking on precise node here. I was right-clicking and left-clicking to add and subtract the time. If you've tried to drag the node around the orbit, you may have noticed that it's really hard to get the node in any precise place in the orbit. By doing this, oh, thank you, there are hotkeys. Excellent. I don't use the hotkeys. I click on it over there.
all I'm doing when I right click, it subtracts 10 seconds. I think it's 10 seconds. And when I left click, it adds 10 seconds. So doing that can change that a little bit. Let's put this back to 2080. 2080, I think it was. Get rid of the rest of this. Okay, let's try this. Let's, alright, that didn't do it. And that makes it worse, adding time. So losing that, trying to change exactly when we burn. Oh, what was that? What was that? That was something. I had an encounter. There it is. What is this? Jool encounter. Well, isn't that great? So what did I do? I went into precise node. I set this to 10. It just gives me bigger increments. And all I did was right and left clicked on this thing right here. This is the exact time that we're going to be doing it. Do I have the source wrong again? What the? How did? All right, something's wrong because that. Oh, I'm typing on the number key. That's what happened. That's totally what happened. That has a shortcut in when I type things. Oh, when I type things, it freaking changes it over. I have to fix that. Oh, I thought I fixed that. Ay, ay, ay. So embarrassing. We will fix this. I know what's happening. There's our friendly phone call to tell me that I've flubbed up again. All right, I know how to fix it. I know how to fix this. What's happening is I was trying to set up shortcuts to switch screens, and I accidentally set apparently a 0 as a shortcut, so every time I type a 0, it also switches the screen. That's why I didn't know. It's the number pad. That's what it was. Here's what was happening. We were sitting over here somewhere. I clicked on this in precise node, right? Where was my Jool encounter? There we go. I was clicking on this in precise node, and I was adding and subtracting time. This is the exact time, which basically means dragging the thing around. I gotta fix that, though. I apologize greatly for that. I will remove that keyboard shortcut. That's ridiculous. I should have remembered to do that. Wow. Twice in one stream. Terrible. All I was doing, I set this to 10, and I'm right-clicking and left-clicking on this right here. Yeah, somebody should have said DOS over there. And that would have brought up a thing on my screen here. If you said DOS, it brings up something that overlays my screen, and that will actually make me look at the chat. So I was in precise node. I was right and left clicking, and I just set an increment of 10 seconds and right and left clicked until I got this, which was my Jool encounter. Then I can come over here and I can see how close I am to the Jool encounter. There we go. That's not a bad periapsis. Let's see if we can change it by setting this to 1. Am I on the right screen? Yes. Traffic's good, guys. That was actually somebody else on the channel. That wasn't DK. But yeah, I definitely appreciate the phone call there. I set this to 1. I'm gonna right and left click. Can I? Nope. There we go. That's not really messing with it too much. That's even a worse encounter. That's a little bit better. Let's try this. Let's try to change our radial by 1 meters per second. Let's see here. Nope, that completely loses the encounter for us. Let's just fix it in post-production. Set this radial to 0. There we go. All right, so I've got this set up. I've got the encounter. Yeah, that's exactly what's going on. I've got my number pad set up, and you can also use it. I was typing things in a precise node, and it changed my freaking source. Now I know how to fix it, and it won't happen again. I need one of those little side keypad thingies that's like a screen switcher or whatever. Let's get this burn done. Wow, it's in 6 minutes and 25 seconds. We've got the thing set up. We've got precise node good. Let us get on the right screen first. I'm on the right screen. Now I'm like totally paranoid. Oops, I'm typing M's in. Get off of precise node like that. Press M to go back here. Let's get set up for this burn. I also appreciate the time reminders here. I apologize for those flubs, but that is easy for me to fix. I need to remove. I thought I removed them all, but apparently I didn't get the one that took me to that screen with 0. Where is this burn point at? There it is. Here is a very big problem, right? In Kerbal Space Program, it does not know how much delta V or how long it's going to take us this burn because we haven't burned this engine. We switched back to the scene. So it says in A. Let me show you a trick to fix it, right? We're going to go ahead and point at our node over here. I'm going to quick save. I'm going to press F5. F5, did that give me the quick save? Yes, that gave me the quick save. Now I'm going to turn off this engine, right click it. I'm going to tell it to shut down like that. I'm going to throttle all the way up. Remember, I quick save first. You got to quick save first. And then I'm going to reactivate this engine like that. That calculates our burn time. Shut off the engine. The problem is activating the engine changed our node. It made us or made our orbit different. It means our node's going to be different. So we need to remember this: 2 minutes and 10 seconds. I'm going to reload the quick save by holding down F9. That's going to take me back to before I burnt, but I remember it's 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Let's see here. I am still pointing at the place. I know it's 2 minutes and 10 seconds. Half 2 minutes and 10 seconds is 1 minute and 5 seconds. 1 minute and 6 seconds is when we'll do this burn. Let's fast forward till this says 1 minute and 6 seconds. 1 minute and 6 seconds. Hey, that's cool. Bill is in the background of that. I've never actually noticed that. I don't use this lander can very much. That's why I used it on this craft. 1 minute and 6 seconds. We are going to do this burn. And there we go. We're good to go. That's 15. Throttle up. Engines activated. There's that. Kerbal Engineer, talk to me, Goose. That's going to be 2189 and 1876. This is going to be a little dirty. Let's do this burn. So right now we've got this amazing thrust to weight, right? This 2.34 thrust to weight. That's a really good thrust to weight to be doing this burn. Look how quickly we're doing it. That's the reason it was only 2 minutes. If I had tried to execute this 2,000 meter per second burn, it would have been 8 or 9 minutes on the burn. So this burn is going. It's going to be a bit of a burn. So I think I can look at the chat. Yeah, I appreciate it. I am definitely watching the clock there. I can go a couple minutes over, I think, but we will definitely get to Jool first. I'll definitely get you the encounter with Jool, and we'll get out there. I'm not going to leave you hanging, and no, I still got to fix that. I'm totally not going to leave you hanging, and actually, I don't like how that looks because my eyes are like going down. Wow, I don't like how it looks when I look at the chat. I need to be looking like up there or something, or like right at the camera maybe. Huh. So what's going to happen, right? This stage only had, what, like 1,800 delta V in it, and that was a 2,200 delta V burn, so we're going to have to use these engines. Let's see. Why did that say 34 seconds? I didn't like that at all. That wasn't right at all. Something was weird there. Something was totally weird there. So, continuing to do this burn, we have 188, we have that. We will get it done. That's interesting that that burn was very inaccurate, but we will see. Now we can jettison this stage. Let's fire up those 4 nukes. 0.89. Why does that thrust away so much better? Did I not set that to vacuum? It's not paying attention to it. Now we're executing this burn using the nukes. We're finishing it off. We're using that delta V that we had. Let's get it done here. And a thing that you can look at is coming over here and see how much your blue line matches up with your dotted line. The goal really is to get the blue line to match the dotted line. That means that you've executed a good burn that gets you very close to that target trajectory that you're going for. So I'm just going to keep doing this burn, another 130 meters per second. Keep it burning, keep it burning. And look how that blue line's getting really close there. That's a free return to Kerbal. Look at that. Not necessarily, but there's 50, 40. There we go. 30. Continuing the burn. 20 and 10. Kill it. That's close enough. So now we're good. Let's go check Jool and see if we have the encounter. I could do that from the map screen, which is where I already was. I see a look at this. Not so solid, but we have the encounter with Jool. Right there. It's not a very solid encounter. So we can fix that. We can make that more solid. We're going to go ahead and do some time warping here. Let's go and set an alarm clock. Time warp out to the SOI change as fast as we can. Faster. Faster. Kerbal alarm clock. Catch me. Don't kill me, bro. Catch me, Kerbal alarm clock. Excellent. It'll slow down the time warp before we get to the sphere of influence change. We'll close the alarm. Wow, I got to get rid of that shortcut that changes the scenes. So embarrassing. Gonna keep on going though. Sitting here being embarrassed would not get anybody to Jool. And then we'll slow it down. I don't like it to time warp past this SOI change. Are we in an interplanetary orbit now? Yes, we are, but it's not so solid. Let's go ahead and time warp some. and get out here to the middle of the orbit. I've already left Kerbin. Days going by. I'm flying away. And remember what we did, right? Okay, I don't have that encounter, so let's slow back down and let's fix it. There we go. I would really love to know why this flickers like this sometimes. I don't know why it does this, but what I can do to fix it is put a node a little bit up here. That's a day out. What can we do to make this a more solid encounter? Let's just try some random things like a little bit of prograde. Does that work? Is the dotted line flashing? It's so hard to tell. Let's try a little bit more prograde. Let's try a little bit of that direction. It's still flickering, although it doesn't look like we have it. This is so annoying, and I really wish I knew why the game did this. That looked more solid. You know something? We're going to be very close to Jool when we get out there. Maybe we just need to not worry about this and see if we grab it. Let's go ahead and F5 it right here and do some time warping. See if it shapes up as we get closer. I think a little bit of a normal... No, a radial inburn maybe would be good. But I've got to get this time warping here. So, it's a lot different when you're working under a time constraint. I'm trying to cover everything, but having the time constraint there is definitely making me... I feel like I'm not going over a couple things that I'd really like to go over. But let's see if we can do something here and fix that encounter. That's so annoying why it does that. Maybe if we just slow down a bit, it'll be a little bit more solid. You just can't tell. There we go. That's a solid encounter. That's a solid encounter. We're going to go with that just to get a solid encounter. See how the dotted line is not flickering and the other line is flickering? Let's do this burn in 5 days. Thanks, Hag. And I gave myself about 10 minutes of leeway there, so I could split the difference and do 5 minutes, I think. We were definitely going to get out to Jool. There we go. Let's time warp up 5 days. 5, 4, 3, 2. Whoa, 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 whoa. 37 minutes. And there we go. 36, 35, 34, 33, 32, 31. You know, we don't have to be exact on this burn. We're out in deep space, so let's just go ahead and burn it right now. This meters per second. Fix it for me. Get rid of that shaky encounter, please. It looks like it's becoming more solid. It's still not solid. Seriously, maybe if we get rid of that. You know something? This is a problem. You have to split the difference and add them in. This is so annoying that is not becoming solid for us. Let's just burn and see if we can make it solid. 20 days. That's just making the Jool encounter worse. If anybody knows anything, let's just time warp and see if getting closer to it doesn't fix it. Let's see here. It would be terrible if we just go flying past Jool. However, we're going to be really close to Jool, and we should be able to set Jool as the target and burn towards it, maybe. Let's see here. What is this? Is Jool the target? Set as target. That's the descending node. We're coming a little low, it looks like. At the descending node, I'm going to go ahead and... what's my descending node? -2. Jeez, that may be a really terrible inclination change at -2. Way the heck out here. We're definitely going to be close to Jool. Let's see here. Like an hour still. Nice. Different time zones. Alrighty. Let me put something here and see if I can't get it. Wow, look, it's like if you do that, you're just going to get a Jool encounter. You don't even have to do a burn. It's something about it doesn't like the ship. That's so annoying. Let's just fast forward up to that burn and see if we can't get a Jool encounter by doing nothing when we pass this node. I mean, I think what I wanted to do was a little bit of descending node. I would want to do normal up. So let's see here. Oh, cool. Interesting. Checking the phone messages there. And I'm going to do nothing when I get out to this node. Screet. What is this? 3 days. That notice 10:01 Eastern. Yes, but I just got a text message saying the thing was delayed, so I have a couple minutes here. And then I think I wanted to do a little bit of descending. So does that help us? Yes, that helps us. So we'll just go ahead and burn that. And we would be going north, which is this way. Excellent. In 3 days, we'll do that burn. I wonder if it's something about the ship design. Does anybody know anybody know something you could do differently with the ship to make it not to do that wiggly node nonsense? I just missed it by a day. Whatever, let's burn anyways. See if this makes the encounter better. I'm totally rushing through parts of this, which I do apologize for. And stop. Close enough. By a day. There's a good encounter. There's a good Jool encounter. So what did I just illustrate? You pulled some rings. Nice. I missed that burn by a day and a half. It doesn't matter. You just got to get close enough to get that encounter. And then we are going to need to come over here and change our apo-apps. Let's see here. Rushing up to this. Going along. I need a time warp faster. Up to it. There we go. Excelente. 31 minutes. Fast forward again. I got this superstition about time warping past SOI changes. I've had the game go freaking bonkers on me before when that happens, so I don't like to time warp past it. That looks good. There's our periapps. What can we do to get over to Jool? What I should have done since I was doing the arrow braking maneuver, I should have done... Don't tell anyone I'm doing this. This is so wasteful. Where's Jool even at? Where you at, Jool? Why can't I see Jool? That's Pole. Oh, Jool's way the heck over there. Wow, Jool was contained in that entire thing. This is problematic. This is going to be a boatload of Delta V. There we go. Let's see here. No, I got it. I was zoomed out too far. This is a very inefficient maneuver. What I should have done is done this way back. I should have tried to lower my periapps to Jool, which I did not do while I wasn't in Jool's SOI. That's 2611. Let me see if I can't just do the capture for you and not go for the arrow braking, because we did design the ship. Remember, mission parameters changed because, I don't know, the guidance computer stopped working for most of the trip, and so we couldn't do those mid-course corrections. Let's see how much Delta V it is to do this. Wow. 24, so about the same, either to try the arrow braking or to just go into orbit here. We got the Delta V. Let's get on down into the Jeweler system. 2800 Delta V. Don't try this at home. This was a very dirty burn because I was rushing through a couple things there. This is going to be a 7-minute burn. It's definitely not going to be a 7-minute burn. In 32 days, apparently. Let's see what we got here. And then I am going to need to slow this thing down. That's 1 day. Slap the alarm clock. Add it. Do it. Fast forward again. Save me. Then we will go through part of this burn, and I will talk about what I'm doing, and then I am going to have to go here. In fact, I should be going right now. Delete on close. That! I'm on that. All right. What are we at? 55 seconds. Oh, well, close enough. Let's just light this up. We're going to do this fast and loose. You know what we're doing here. We're slowing down our orbital velocity to let Jool catch us. We've got lots of Delta V to do it with. Maybe I can do it from here. I am totally going to physics warp this puppy. What is that going to mean? That means that it's going to take us less than that amount of time. So, I do have to get going here. I had something scheduled that I was supposed to stop 5 minutes ago. I apologize for the two flubs there. What happened was I was using Precise Node. This is the first time I've done a stream on Precise Node, or where I've used Precise Node pretty extensively through the stream, and I had one of my keypad numbers bound to change the scene over to that calculator. And when I was typing into Precise Node, I typed 20, and apparently 0 took me over to that screen. And I didn't know it. It doesn't give me any sort of feedback on my screen. It just changes it. Again, I just have one monitor here. I can't see the broadcast and KSP at the same time. So when I typed 2080, it totally flubbed. It put it on the wrong screen. And that definitely messed me up a little bit there. Anyways, we are still good to go here. We're about halfway through that burn. I am going to need to get going. This is going to get us into orbit around Jool. From here on out, changing your orbit, doing intersects with the moons, all that sort of stuff, it's standard orbital mechanics. I do sessions on those. Getting to Kerbin's moon, getting to Minimus, getting into orbit, how to change your orbit. Look at that thing. Look at that thing, wherever it is, curving around. We're almost captured by Jool. But let me see here. There's an interplanetary transfer. We're in orbit around Jool. Now we will let it go down, kill it, and I will get rid of the node, and I will go here, and we will look at Jool. Let's turn all this stuff off. Let's just prove that we're at Jool and not some other body that we don't actually know about. Wow, there's Jool over there. See it? That's Jool. Let's get closer. Oops, that's the physics warp. Let's get closer to Jool. Just to prove that we came to the right place. Falling